Shalom Bracha, good morning. Welcome to our 15-minute shir in Yanei Diyoma. Let's turn with Siyata D'Shmaya to this week's Gevaldige Parsha. They're all tremendous. Eytan Nitzavim Hayom Kulchem. Atem Nitzavim, listen to Rabbi Yaakov Katina and his Gevaldige Sefer Al-Torah Karban Ani. Says this in his first shtickle, his first ket on Parshas Nitzavim, and echoes it yet once more in his second shtickle, Parshas Vayelech. We have, of course, the off-the-joining Parshios of Nitzavim Vayelech. Writes Rabbi Yaakov Katina, let's not lose sight of the stark contrast between the names of these two respective parshios. Tahainu, Eytan Nitzavim mitzad echad and Vayelech Moshe mitzad sheni. Right, Rabbi Yaakov Katina, Eytan Nitzavim. He says Moshe Rabbeinu is giving, yes, Rashi has two different parusha. In the end of the day, right, Rabbi Yaakov Katina, Moshe Rabbeinu was given Klai Yisrael Musar. Eytan Nitzavim, Rabbi say, why are you a Nitzav? Why are you not a Vayelech? Zok the Novi Zachariah per Gimel Posuk Zayiv and Asati Lechem Alichim in Omdem Eile. Of course, are described, are labeled as what? A Nitzav, as an Omeid. They're not Hochem, they're not steiging, they're not growing. Mechoyel Achoyel. The way the Eibishter made them, that's the status quo, maintenance that endures throughout their career, Kilu. And the end of the day, the way a Malach is fashioned, that's what a Malach is. No growing, no steiging, no evolving, no changing. A Malach is a Nitzav, is an Omeid. Perhaps it's not coincidental, therefore, in the world of phonetic cognates, Malach, Melach, Melach and Malach sound very similar, although they're spelled differently. Melach, salt. What is salt? Salt is a preservative. It maintains the status quo. You put something in salt, it maintains the way it is, and it keeps it going. That is a melach, as a malach. We mentioned in the past the Gevaldige Hara of Moshe Eisenman. He says, why did Eisheslo turn into a pillar of salt? Why not a salt shaker? Wouldn't it be Gevaldige, a salt shaker? Bartanura, Rabbi Vaja Bartanura in his letters when he visited Eretz Yisrael, as well as the Bali Ataisis Chalukei Deis, whether we know where the pillar of Eisheslo is today. But can you imagine a tourist attraction, the pillar of, not the pillar of Eisheslo, the salt shaker? So why is she a pillar? Why is she salt? Why not pepper? Why not ginger or anything else? Sugar, why is it salt? And the idea, of course, is because salt's a preservative. The sin of Eisheslo is, I don't want to leave Sodom. I want to stay the way I always am. I want to go back to Sodom and stay that way. I don't want to grow. I don't want to go to Avram Avinu. I want to be exactly as I am now. That's how I want to remain. She turns into what? Amidah Keneged Midah, measure for measure. She turns not into a salt shaker. She turns into a Nitziv Melach, into a pillar of salt. And what? A pillar of salt Medavka, salt and preservative. How Geshmak, they go together. Nitziv Melach, salt and preservative, maintain status quo. Nitziv, you're not growing, you're not steiging. You're merely a Nitziv. You're an Omeid. You're staying the way you are. That's the Midah Keneged Midah. She turns into a pillar, and a pillar of salt Badavka. And what happened to Sodom? Gafris Vamelach. Fascinating, Rabbi say. Where's the only time? Where do we mention this Gafris Vamelach? After the actual destruction of Sodom. Where's it repeated? In this week's Parsha, which Parsha? Nitzavim. Nitzavim, Nitziv, Gafris Vamelach. Salt, they got destroyed Sodom, because what are they all about? The mere maintenance, the status quo. No growing, no steiging. Midah Keneged Midah. That's exactly what they get. Perhaps we can add on. Eisheslo, to what's part of her tikkun. At Pirkei Ulos, let's go to chapter 25. And Rolozim and Horkadis is Rolozor Galos, Pirkei Ulozor. It says that every night the Shvarim, the oxen, come out in the forest and they lick up the pillar of salt. And then what happens? Every night, miraculously, that pillar of Eisheslo replenishes itself, grows anew. The animals come out, they lick up the salt. Why does Eibishter have to do that, especially if we don't even, what's the nekuda, the Phineas Taiti, it's Gavaldik, it's a chelik in the tikkun. Eisheslo Sodom, you don't want to grow, you want to stay status quo all life. Eibishter says then part of the tikkun is the constant replenishing, the constant renewal of sorts. The oxen will lick off the salt, and it will then regrow and replenish and renew itself. The constant sense of daily renewal. Hischachus yonecha kichadoshim chadoshim gam yished. It has to be a hischachus. We go after the levana, the sense of hischachus, not after the shemesh. The shemesh is what the shana. Shana is reviewing the same thing over and over again. That's the shana. That's the solar calendar. How we come out of Mitzrayim, it's chodesh elachem. We go what? Basar the levana. We count according to the lunar cycle. That sense of renewal, that sense of hischachus. We don't want to be salt. We don't want to be Eisheslo. Moshe Rabbeinu Rabbeinu turns to Klal Yisrael. Ata Nitzavim, you guys in Nitzavim, you gotta grow, you gotta steig, you gotta pick yourselves up and always renew yourselves and reinvigorate and renew those koiches. What's the contrast to Ata Nitzavim? Now we go back to Rav Yaakov Katina, as opposed to Ata Nitzavim Vayelech Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu is a holech. He's on the move. He's on the go. After all, what's the first Nissin overtly on the pages of Chumash Legabe Avram Avinu? We have a Mishnah Yedua, a Mishnah Meforsemes Perkei Perkei Mishnah Gimel, Piasor Nisyonis Esasa Avram Avinu. Rashi and Rabbeinu Yonah take us to Perkei Lozer. Know the Chazals, of course. Kivshon Eish, the first of the 10. I know I in the Rambam and his Perish Mishnayis of North in Elvis Hey Gimel. Rambam says, what's the first Nissin that appears openly, overtly on the pages of Torah Seinu HaKadosh, not Kivshon Eish, that's only subtly alluded to. What's the introduction to Avram Avinu in the beginning of Parshas Lech Lecha? Lech Lecha, where are you going? I don't even know. The word is what? But be a holech, be on the move, be on the go. Lech Lecha, just keep up the koach halicha for yourself. Just keep going, keep steiging. Avram Avinu is the first Jew. Lech Lecha. Moshe Rabbeinu, the ultimate Jew. Vayelech Moshe. A culmination of what an Adam can become. Moshe Rabbeinu, even at his godless, even at 120, he's what? He's still a Vayelech Moshe. He's on the move. He's on the go. He's always steiging until the last breathing moment alive in this world, and never ceasing for a moment to steig, to grow in Avodas Hashem. Avram Avinu, the first of Klal Yisrael, Lech Lecha. Moshe Rabbeinu Vayelech Moshe. So Mela back to Rav Yaakov Katina. Ata Nitzavim Vayelech Moshe. They oftentimes go together to be margish this very nakuda. That while Klal Yisrael, I'm going to criticize you after Nitzavim, you got to be a Vayelech Moshe, you got to be on the move, you got to be on the go. Mamela. And that's the stark contrast between being a holech versus being an omeid. So besides Rav Yonas and Eifsetzach, some say for the Maral and so many others, why? Did Sarah Shal Esav target? Why did he aim specifically for the leg of Yaakov Avinu by the big fight? It's very good. The Feiner Taiti. What's the whole battle of Yaakov versus Esav? Well, let's go back to the beginning of it all. Where did it all start? Vayisrotzatzu abada bekirba. Interesting terminology, no? Vayisrotzatzu loshen ritza la'ana taholech. Where are you going? Where are you running? Vayisrotzatzu, Yaakov running to the base Knesset, to the base Medrash, and Esav running to the base Avodah Zarah, to idolatry. Vayisrotzatzu, what are you doing with your legs, with your koach halicha, your koach of ritza? Where are you going? Where are you steiging? Esav wants to get out. Yaakov says, I got your leg, buddy. Too bad. Achaz be'ekev, he's got hold of. Zeh comes Zenofel. One is up, one is down. I got your leg. When you're holding someone by the leg, they trip. Who's got the koach raglayim? Esav says, I got to bring Yaakov down. I can't do it, so I'll send what? I'll send my son Shal Esav. Yaakov, of course, is the Bechin of the Kol, the Ruchni, the Kol Yaakov, Kol HaTfilah, Kol HaTorah. Esav is what? The Koch of Yadayim and Esav. Told us Chav Zayin Chav Beis. Yadayim, it's Yadayim and Raglayim. That's Esav Loshen Asiyah, the Klei Asiyah. Are our arms, our legs. Yadayim and the Raglayim. Mela, Esav says, the representative, the source, the Shoresh, the source Shal Esav of all my Kayach. He's going to bring Yaakov down. What's he going to bring him down with? I got to get him in his leg. I got to bring him down in his koach raglayim. That's how I'm going to get him in the koach raglayim. Now we go to Rav Hunter Pachar Yitzchak and Purim. And Maimer Choches Zak the Bala Pachar Yitzchak. Why do we have the switching, the reversal of the hands? If you want to be mad, if you want to give preference to Ephraim, the one who symbolized Torah, so put him by your right leg and put him in Asher by the left leg and then just do a karagil. Zak the Hunter, no. Because from Ephraim comes Yoshua, who's the first one to destroy Amalek, Zarushal Esav, the enemy Shalach Perkit, Zayin Vayachash, Yoshua Samalek. He's the descendant of Ephraim, he's the Enekal of Ephraim, but he's not around yet. Amalek, the Koch of Esav, is still here, stark in this world. Yaakov says, he got me in my Raglayim. Ephraim, I can't put Ephraim by the right leg, I got to leave him by the left leg, I'll give him my right hand. That's how we can beat Amalek right now. Yodav Emunah, the whole story with the Yadayim, but he got me in the Raglayim. Why did he aim for the Raglayim? Because that is the koch of Yaakov over Esav, getting the Raglayim. Zoktav Hunder now. So how do we celebrate Purim time? And we destroyed Hama, we destroyed Amalek. How do we celebrate? Rikidim, Rikudim, Arikudim Lacholos. We dance Laban to come Purim. Why? Because Purim, we got you. We destroyed Hama, we destroyed Zarushal Krisa, Zarushal Amalek. Amela, we got the koch Raglayim back. We're going to celebrate by dancing like never before. We got the koch Raglayim, but the Feiner Taiti, but it's Geshmak. When we turn momentarily to the Purim story, who wanted bowing more than anybody else in the history of all the world, of all Tanakh? And the end of the day, one of the reasons it happened, we bow down to the Tzemel Nebuchadnezzar. That's one. But of course, Haman wanted bowing. What's this whole idea of bowing? Bowing is give up your koach Amidah b'raglayim. Give me over your raglayim, and you'll bow what? Not bow to my head. You'll bow to my raglayim. What's the whole zelu mazel, an Indian of ishtachavaya? You're giving up. You're stripping yourself of your koach Amidah b'raglayim, and you're bowing down to someone else's raglayim. The whole story, Yaakov and Esav, Ayisotzu, where are you going? What are you doing with the raglayim? Zek kam nofa, I got your leg. Yaakov starts out, Esav, I got your leg. Esav sends Sarashal Esav. No, you don't, Yaakov. I got your leg. I'm going to take you from a holech to an omeid. Mordechai and Haman, it's all over again. And of course, the Arizal, now coincidentally, Mordechai, a Gilgal of Yaakov, Haman, a Gilgal of Esav, Gishmak. Haman says, Mordechai, I got you. Everyone, you got to bow. Mordechai says, well, you know the famous story of the Targum Sheni. Medrash and Esther Abba, they were going traveling, Haman starving, and he sells himself as an evet to Mordechai. Mordechai writes the star, where in the bottom of his shoe? Rabbi side, write it on your arm, in the bottom of the shoe, it can get worn out. Bottom of the foot, why is Mordechai writing in the bottom of the foot? Haman, I got the koach haraglayim back. You're mine. You're my servant. You're working for me. I got you in the bottom of my foot. What does someone want? No, I want everyone bowing down to me. And what does someone think of? Achashverosh tells him, how should I honor and give kavod to someone? The Misha Melcha Shechavetz Bikaro. Haman says, what? Thinking, I'll have Mordechai use his koach haraglayim, walk me around town as my koach haraglayim sit ever so comfortably atop the horse of the king himself. And what happens? Amidah can Amidah, that's not going to work. Haman says, I got to destroy Mordechai. How am I going to kill him? Death by hanging. Morav Rabbi say, what is death by hanging? You have somebody standing up in the raglayim, you put the noose around the neck, and then you take away the koach Amidah b'raglayim, and then they're left to hang. Why does someone want that? Because the whole Indian is a holech versus an omeid. It's Eytan Nitzavim versus Vayelech Moshe. It's mahalchem ein omdim eile. Who's got the koach Amidah b'raglayim? Haman says, I'm going to get the Jews. How am I going to get them? With the goral. Rabbi Sai, what's the story of Purim? The whole miracle is V'nhapachu. Haman tries to get us with the Goral, Gimel Reish Lamed, V'nhapachu. So let's do precisely that. Let's be Mahapich, the Osios of Goral. And what do we get regular? It was all about who's got the Koach Raglayim. What happens in the end of the day? At the end of the story, Haman falls off his feet and bows to Esther and pleads to have her save a life. His star is under the foot of Mordechai. He has to bow down to Esther. He has to use his koach haraglayim to walk. Mordechai, his raglayim is sitting ever so comfortably on the horse, and it's Haman who gets hung. He gets hung on that tree. Hamin ha'etz. It all goes back to Gan Eden. Hamin ha'etz. Chulun kaflamates. Amid beis. Hamin min hator minayit. Hamin ha'etz. It's all what? He loses his koach haraglayim. That's the battle of Tov versus Rav, Yaakov versus Esav. It all comes down to Halicha versus Amidah. It all comes down to Avram Avinu Alech Lecha. It comes down to Vayelech Moshe. Amela, it's all about Holech. It's all about Koach Halicha. It's all about steiging Mechoyel Lechoyel, never stopping to grow and never stopping to steig. So now let me ask you a question. It's all about steiging. It's all about Holech. It's all about being a Vayelech Moshe. We got to be on the move. We got to be on the go. We got to be steiging. And yet, what? How do we display our avodas Hashem? We have what's called the Shmoneh Esrei Koach HaTfilah and Amidah. What's going on? What is Amidah all about? Amidah is, as Rav Schwab writes in his Rav Schwab on Prayer, page 411, quoting Rav Shamshon for her, something that the Seder Yom already remarks, as is the Maral in Nesivos Olam. It says this in the Siv Avodah, the same idea. What is Shmoneh Esrei? It's called quite appropriately the Amidah. The Amidah standing still. Homemade Amidah. What do you mean an Amidah? I don't want to stand still. I don't want to be an Omeid. I want to be Holech. I want to be growing. I want to be steiging. So why am I an Omeid? What's going on over here? Explains Neseder Yom, explains the Maral, explains Rav Shamshon for Hirsch. Yes, all throughout the day, you're a holech, you're on the move, you're on the go. Tefillah is, but now you say what? His battle is gemuru mechletes. Eibishter, I'm giving you my yadayim, I'm giving you my raglayim, I'm giving you all of me, and I'm being mevatel all of that to the Rotzan Abore. Dahainu, and the Malba makes this point very clearly. Avada, we're steiging, we're moving, we're growing, but there's got to be a time when we take all our kaichas, all our accomplishments, and we stop for a moment and say, Eibishter, all of my accomplishments, there's no kochi v'otzim yodi, asali esachayel zef haker, all of my accomplishments, all of my achievements in life, everything done. I stop 3 times a day and I isolate myself in this makom. Amidah, I'm omei lefanecha. Eibishter, I'm all yours. That's tefillah, that's avoda. Who corresponds to Shavuos? Tur and Hilchos Rosh Chodesh or Chaim Taf Yutzai and Yitzchak. It's connected to us. Yitzchak is Akedas Yitzchak. Yitzchak is the spotless and Achanot Gemura Mochletes. Yitzchak is the makom avoda. What's no taklis of Matan Torah? Moshe Rabbeinu was told already in Sinai, Tavdanaisi Alaharazeh. You're gonna serve the Moshe as one as an Evan Hashem. Amidah, what was Matan Torah? Vayisyatzvu betachta sahar, Balaturim, Nitzavim, Vayisyatzvu. I don't understand. What do you mean Vayisyatzvu? I don't want to be a Nitzav. I don't want to be immobilized. I don't want to be frozen in place. I want to be a Holech. You're right. That is our Pnimius. We're a Holech. We're on the move. We're on the go. We're steiging. But every once in a while, and yes, every day you got to stop 3 times. Amidah, Eibishter, all of my halicha and all my accomplishments and achievements in every field and every mitzvah, I stop and I reinforce, but it's all from you. I'm a vatal, I subjugate all of my retzoines, bata retzoin chalifnei retzono, of my accomplishments, my achievements, and omeid ha'areini, omeid lefanecha da lefnei miyata omeid. There's a time to be a holech, there's a time to be steiging and growing, and indeed there's a time to be an omeid and an itzav, when we decide using our own bechira chavshis. Eibishter, what? I want to give over my rotzen to you. That's Matan Torah. Tav denaisi. That's connected. Yitzchak, the Yaman Avoda, that's Akedas Yitzchak. That's why they blew the shofar of Elo Shah Yitzchak b'Shas Matan Torah. It's all Eibishter, the Hispotlus. It all comes from you. Harei omei lefanecha da lefnei yameta omei vayisyatzvu betachta sahar ata nitzavim. There's a time taka to be a nitzav, but until you get to those times, be'etzem we're holchem bein om de meile. But every once in a while we emulate the Malachei Elyon. Brochus Taviyim and based on Yecheskel Perkalapos Exayin for Agleim Regel Yeshara. Why do we stand? Because every once in a while we got to be the malach that says Eibishter, and at the end of the day, you're right, I'm a holech, but I recognize that I give everything achieved throughout my life as a holech, I give it all over to you because it's all noveya ach v'rak from you. Amar Ketov, that I have the schus to be your Eved. Hareini omeid lifanecha b'shas the Amidah da lefnei miyata omeid. I'm an omeid and not a holech. I make myself malach angel-like, standing ragleim rega yeshara. There's a time and a place for everything. Be'etzem we're a holech every once in a while an omeid. Rabbi say Eytan Nitzavim, but it's got to be what? There's a time to be an Nitzav, but not throughout our lives. Vayelech Moshe, on the move, on the go, always steiging. Mechayel lechayel le'ila le'ila. Keep steiging throughout COVID and beyond. And let's greet Mashiach Tzidkenu, Be'ezar Hashem, before the end of Toshan Pei, a Gavaldige day, and a Mordecai Shabbos Apeh.